Chains are forming in Iran to protect power plants and other Trump targets. Let me tell you what happened overnight, because I think it's one of the most extraordinary things we've seen in this entire catastrophic chapter of American foreign policy. Donald Trump went on his Nazi-infested social media site and posted something that should make every American's blood run cold. He wrote that, and I quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight." A whole civilization. Think about that. The President of the United States, with the most powerful military on the planet at his command, threatened to wipe out an entire nation and its people. Not a regime, not a government, a civilization, 87 million human beings. This isn't bluster. This certainly isn't negotiating. This is a man with his finger near a trigger telling the world he's thinking about pulling it. And when a president starts talking like that, we're not in the territory of foreign policy anymore. We're in the territory of war crimes. We're in the territory of The Hague. The Nuremberg principles exist precisely for moments like this one. And the response from Iran? It definitely wasn't what Trump wanted. It wasn't fear. It wasn't submission. Please, Mr. Trump. Ordinary Iranian citizens, regular people, started forming human chains, thousands of them, linking arms around power plants and infrastructure sites that they believed that Trump had in his crosshairs. Let's go ahead and roll that first clip so you can see what this looks like on the ground.
که منجر به از بین رفتن تلاش‌های مهندسان عزیز و توانمند و جوانان ایران اسلامی و شهادت برخی از هموطنان مظلوم و بیگناهمان دانشمندان مهندسان توانمند ایران اسلامی گردیده است محکوم می‌کنیم. الله اکبر. الله اکبر.
These are not soldiers. These are not government officials. These are mothers and fathers and students who decided that if bombs are coming, they're going to stand in the way with their own bodies. Let's get that second angle up because I want you to really absorb this. And here's the creator on the ground reporting on what's happening in real time.
The Iranian state-affiliated media organization Fars News has been putting out reports and video footage confirming that there are people gathering around the Khazarun combined cycle power plant located in southwestern Iran. Now, they're making all these posts to describe it as part of a nationwide call with participants linking arms around or near the facility, including what appear to be families, women, and children participating. Now, this is part of like a broader regime push for civilians to position themselves at power plants and other infrastructure sites to complicate any potential U.S. strikes and generate propaganda. Now, supporters of this are portraying it as voluntary patriotism, and opposition voices have labeled this as a cynical use of civilians and especially minors as human shields to complicate any potential strikes and also make propaganda videos. Additionally, they've formed another human chain at the White Bridge in Avez, which is a major city in Khuzestan in southwestern Iran. And some of the footage coming out of there shows large groups of people, including adults, families, and notably children, children linking hands, waving Iranian flags, and chanting in support of protecting national infrastructure. Now, state and pro-regime outlets have presented this as a defiant show of unity against the United States and the threats to target bridges and power facilities, but this has fueled pretty strong criticism that the regime is deliberately placing civilians and more in harm's way for PR purposes. Now, Iran has a history of using civilian mobilization around sensitive sites to deter attacks and shape narratives. However, the explicit inclusion of children and the timing right before this deadline that's coming up at 8 p.m. have drawn pretty serious accusations of exploiting vulnerable populations. That being said, in Iran's authoritarian system, it's very difficult to distinguish whether this type of stuff is grassroots or if it's done from state-directed or pressured participation, because dissent is heavily suppressed and the state media heavily promotes these types of events. Plus, if the state came to somebody's house there and they're like, you're going to participate in this protest or this gathering, and you say no, what do you think's going to happen? Either way, this is going to make this situation quite a bit more complicated.
Now, while you hold that image in your mind, because what you're watching is the direct consequence of American leadership that has completely abandoned even any pretense of moral authority, think about how the people of another country formed a human chain to protect themselves from you, from us. We have lost the argument. Trump has lost the argument. America has lost. You have lost the high ground. You may have bombs, but you've lost everything else. And here's where it gets even more remarkable. It's not just the left that's saying, enough. Check out this tweet from Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people, responding to Trump's post. MTG, MAGA royalty. And she's pushing back because even people who've spent years defending this man apparently have a line, and threatening to eradicate a civilization appears to be somewhere near that line. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar went even further. She's calling for impeachment outright. And she's not alone. MAGA allies, podcasters who've spent years carrying water for this administration are now publicly calling for Trump to be impeached. But I also want you to see the other side of this because it's important. Not everyone in MAGA world got the memo. I got a tweet here from a MAGA voter who's actively encouraging what can only be described as war crimes against the Iranian people. That's who's cheering this on. That's the constituency being served by this rhetoric. And that matters because a democracy is ultimately a reflection of its people. And right now, we're in a fight for what kind of people we want to be. One more tweet I want you to see. This one cuts right to it. Iran doesn't want Trump's liberation. They don't. They're forming human chains around power plants to prove it. MTG is calling it unhinged. Ilhan Omar is calling for impeachment. MAGA podcasters are calling for impeachment. And the rest of the world is watching us and asking whether the American experiment still means anything at all. Here's what I keep coming back to. The Nuremberg trials after World War II established something this country helped write into international law, that threatening the wholesale destruction of a civilian population is not a foreign policy option any longer. It's a crime. And any commander who orders it and any soldier who carries it out bears personal legal responsibility. That's not my opinion. That's the law that America helped build. So when Trump writes that a whole civilization will die tonight, he's not being tough. He's not playing four-dimensional chess. He's threatening a war crime in front of the entire world and daring anyone to stop him. Now, Congress has the power to stop him. Impeachment exists for exactly this moment. The question is whether anyone in that building still has the courage to use it, particularly among the Republicans, because that's what it's going to take. We'll be watching.